Hello and welcome. In this video, we're going to be unboxing two vintage patterns from the 1920s. I bought these two patterns online on Etsy from a woman named Deidre, who takes patterns that she finds via thrift or estate sales or things like that, and she digitizes them, and then she sells those resulting patterns to the public. She adds things that we're used to seeing in commercially available patterns, things like seam allowances and grain lines and darts. Apparently it wasn't actually common for those things to be on patterns back then, so we're spoiled. The reason that I have bought these two patterns is because a very good friend of mine is going to be throwing a 1920s themed 2020 New Year's party, and I could just go online and buy some flimsy throwaway flapper dress, but that would not be historically accurate, be very wasteful, and I wouldn't learn anything. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to sew one from scratch. These two patterns are actually from the 1920s, and I think they're going to be really fun. So I sent Deirdre an email just to be very sure that it would be okay for me to document this process, and she was lovely and very helpful. She also reminded me that these patterns are not for the faint of heart. That was not her wording, that's mine. Women of the 1920s were expected to know how to sew. This is not going to be a walk in the park. These patterns, while beautifully re-rendered using modern software, still don't have all of the kind of instructions that we're used to having with modern patterns today. I'm looking forward to this challenge. I hope I succeed, but I'm sure that no matter what, I'm going to learn a lot. So the two patterns that I bought are the 1925 Ladies Coat and Dress Ensemble, and in case I don't like that dress, I also bought the 1923 Ladies Slipover Dress with belt. The Coat and Dress Ensemble from 1925 cost $23, and the Slipover Dress with Belt pattern from 1923 cost $21. I bought both of these patterns because I wasn't sure if I was going to like the dress that came with the coat pattern, but also because why buy one when you can buy two? Alright, so here's what the contents of the package look like, and by the way, I went ahead and opened the tissue paper, which is adorable, and I'm definitely going to be very careful to keep and flatten and maybe use for my Christmas wrapping this year. But in the interest of that, let's move it. Alright, so these are the two patterns that I ordered. We've got a coat and dress and a dress with draped skirt. I'm so excited for both of these. I noticed when I opened it that they both have lots of interesting information on the bottom for each of them, and we've got the sizes for the pattern. This one fits me the closest. We've got 36 and 42. I'm actually a little bit smaller in the bust and hips, but as the 1920s were such a loose-fitting era, I'm hoping that much of a difference won't make too much of a problem for me, but we'll see. And then the dress is a 40-inch bust, which is much larger than where I'm at. So this is my backup dress, and I assume that, I can figure my way around taking it in if necessary. Mostly, I just really liked this dress, so I bought it. And if there was a smaller size one and I missed that, that's entirely my fault. We'll see how it goes. Alright, so we're going to move this one out of the way for now, and let's see what's in here. So, full disclosure, I already opened this, so there's one piece that's already missing because I have it unfolded on the floor because it made a lot of noise unfolding it, and I don't think you wanted to see that. So what we have here are, it looks like the instructions, again, a copy of, this would have been, this is the design that would have been on the cover of the original pattern, so here it is reproduced in color, and then here in black and white with the rest of the printed instructions. So this is really cool. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. This is awesome. We have even pieces from even parts of the original instructions have been copied into this, which is amazing. I love the typography. It's beautiful. I'm so excited to have even a facsimile of the original here. This is amazing. All right, let's see what else we got. More instructions, lots of notes. In some materials, flared skirts sag, therefore allow skirt to hang at least a day before hemming. I'm glad that someone made a note of that because I wouldn't have known that. Oh, cool. Yeah, so it seems like these instructions are upside down for me, but it looks like there's not a whole lot here, so just as I've been warned, I need to use all of my sewing knowledge and maybe probably research some extra to know how to do this properly, but I'm up for the challenge. I'm really excited about it. I love these little drawings, which would have been original to the pattern. So more instructions, more instructions. Very cool. Instructions for the coat. It has pockets. Bless. Very cool. Alright, so that's the instructions. These are the patterns. And we've got, this was what we could see through the back of the bag, and there's some very important read before sewing information. Lots of contact information as usual. Customer service seems to be their MO, which I greatly appreciate. Alright, so these are the pattern pieces, and I can tell you already that this paper is so thick and lovely that it's going to withstand all of the versions of these dresses that I'm going to have to make in order to get it right. Alright, so here we are. And already we can see that this is super helpful. We've got really thick, dark lines, and then the seam allowance lines are this blue dashed. All of the pieces have the name of the pattern printed on them, so if I get disorganized, which is extremely likely, I'll be able to tell what goes where. We've got markings, which are going to be really useful, and then grain lines at various points, which are also going to be very useful. And then we've got really helpful little notations like center back, place this edge on fold. So already I can tell that this has been foolproofed to an extent, which I greatly appreciate. I also appreciate the page 2 of 3 marking so that I don't get them confused. And of course there is a copyright, so personal use only. And I hope this counts, me sharing this with you. So this is the dress with draped skirt. 40-inch bust. Once again, too big for me technically, but this is my backup dress, so if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I'm still really excited to have it. And once again, I've opened this already and I've taken the other pattern piece, the pattern page out. So there are 2. I've just already removed one. All right. Once again, we've got the pattern cover, beautifully re-rendered here. The thing about this pattern, as I understand it, is that the things that come with this pattern are the dress pattern, the sash, but not the embroidery pattern, which is fine. We can wing that. So I've already taken the pattern itself out, and then these are the instructions. So here's what would have been on the back. Transcribed, but also I assume these are copied. Oh, but this might actually be from the modern pattern making software. Not sure. But I love that image. It's so cute. I intend to pose like that in all of the pictures. Alright, once again, read before sewing, which I promise I will do. Here we go, we even have it bigger. It's a little bit pixelated, but what can you do, right? That's just how these things go. I appreciate having it in such a large format. It looks like we're going to have the front and sleeve pieces, the skirt, obviously, which I assume we'll be making two of, and then the girdle. I guess we shouldn't call it a belt, it's a girdle. And then some stays. I've never used stays before, so if I do manage to make it around to this pattern, I'm very excited to try those for the first time. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, look at this. This is so cool. Oh my gosh. So this would have been from the original pattern, and you know how I can tell is that gorgeous typography. This probably isn't even typography. This is probably like handwritten very carefully. Maybe? Who knows? More? Oh, gorgeous. Very cool. So these are all the different sizes, of course, and we're only working with the 40. So I guess that'll be this one. 40 to 44. Very cool. Of course, I'm looking at this all upside down, so the words are all like really confusing to me, but sizes, yes, 40 to 44. Very neat. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. More original instructions. This is really incredible. So like I mentioned, the actual pattern for the embroidery itself, like this, for example, isn't in this pattern, but it seems to be included here at least. There's at least a little bit of instruction on how to maybe make it happen. Okay, so alright, so now we get into the part of the pattern that will have been transcribed from the original instructions. Thank you. Very cool. Oh, I love this. This is exciting. How to make up. Obviously, some notes on pressing, very important. That's something that my grandmother taught me, that if you're going to be making homemade outfits, in order to make them look less homemade, you must iron and iron often. Very, very cool. Oh my goodness, this looks complicated. Well, we'll see how this goes. Sleeves, they can be fun. This is really interesting. This is much more detailed, at least in the diagrams, than the other pattern is. What do we have here? Very cool. Very cool. Ooh, making French tack. Huh. Alright. Well, those are the instructions for the dress pattern. Once again, like I said, this the one that I bought is probably too big for me, and if there is a smaller one, I missed it, and that's my fault entirely. But let's look at, so like I said, this is just the one pattern piece. There's another one that I've already unwrapped on the floor, so I'm going to grab that as soon as I very carefully put all of these things back together so I don't lose anything. Alright, here we go. Very loud, very crinkly, but again, heavy duty paper, so it's going to withstand all of the iterations of this dress that I am likely going to have to make in order to figure it out properly. Already some notations on here that I can see and appreciate are these pleat folds. So this is, what piece is this? This is the piece number 7 skirt, and it's just one piece. So you only have to cut one piece for the entire skirt because, as noted here, it seems that it overlaps. Right front will overlap left front, matching circles. Follow directions to apply underfold stays. Cool, so this is where the stays will go to keep it from, you know, bursting wide open and, you know, compromising your dignity, I guess. Left, right, oh, sorry, lap right front over left front, matching circles, French tack. Very cool, that's that French tack instruction that we saw earlier. I look forward to learning that. And then we've got the sleeve. All right, one moment while I turn this. Awesome. Alright, so I can't get the whole thing in the shot here, but this is the sleeve portion, and we've got some dashed lines here if you want to make it short-sleeved. And then we've got this, I'll move this for a second, and then we've also got this line for the placket to be faced. So that's exciting. All of this is very exciting. If you you couldn't tell. Oh, and then the sleeve facing is over here. Right here. And again, with grain lines and with seam allowances, and even a notation that you can do an even larger seam allowance at the edges on the sleeves to make sure that it fits properly. Yeah, because it's a 3/8 inch seam allowance, it says down here off screen. 3/8 seam allowance on all edges except where noted, such as here. Very cool. Once again, I greatly appreciate all of these helpful little bits. Even here, we've got after stitching cut along this line for open detail. Yeah, sure. Can't wait to get to, oh, I see. This matches this. Okay, cool. So yeah, we're gonna figure that out eventually, someday, if we make this pattern. But this is gorgeous, and I'm really excited. And that's all I have for this video. Thank you very much to Deidre from vintagepattern.etsy.com for offering this amazing service that allows people who are not expert sewers like me to have the kind of pattern niceties that we're accustomed to. I hope this video was informative and that you'll come back and see how I'm doing as I try to get this whole project done by January.